Hello and good morning, all you wonderful people out there. Welcome to another episode of Fallout 4. So today, we're going to continue on and find Imogene. And see how that goes. So right now we're here in Good Neighbor.
See challenging Hancock like that, right on the street.
Well, we're all paying for it now. Down another gun. Everyone's gonna have to step up next time we get attacked.
Yeah, I got you back. No worries.
Let's see if we can sell something right quick.
I've got a weapon here for every situation. Hunting, protection, cold-blooded murder, hot-blooded murder.
Ooh.
I'll take a look, sure.
A gun for every occasion.
Every occasion. Can sell that. Trilby hat, you have that. Think. No. Well, a queen steak. Psycho. Yeah, 18,000 caps. That's interesting. So that. So those. So those. So those. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Let's go see what's going on in here.
Folks bought me so many drinks, I don't even remember the rest of it. Let's take one for the neighborhood,
So I
sister.
might have to. Might have to mute some of this because of copyright issues.
Enjoy your stay.
Yep.
Ever been to Kill or Be Killed? Some fine looking.
3 drinks in and I've gotten nowhere. Trying to follow a machine's logic is like trying to connect the dots with an eraser. Speaking of which, it's been a long time since I had to write in analog. But that's how they did it in the old days. They'd put pen to paper and then bind it into a book. People then put those books into a library and use it to teach the next man. Over time, all of that was converted into binary data and then spit back out into terminal text. I suppose in the end, it's just 2 different ways of saying the same thing. Oh my God, that's it. The Boston Public Library. Their database has a ton of potentially dangerous information, not to mention maps of the Commonwealth. That has to be where it went.
Weapons.
Lady, I need to be a lot more high or a lot more drunk to be bothered right now.
Oh yeah? Hold on. Ask around third rail about Imogene. What else do I have on? Neon Winter. Oh.
Don't have no handouts.
No handouts.
Yes? Yes? Excuse me.
Yeah?
Huh?
Peace, sister. Hey.
Sweet Pip-Boy, sister.
Yeah?
Can't be doing that. Damn it. Ask around third rail.
You ever been to the den?
Yeah.
La 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 la
Too
la
weird
la
for me,
la 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 la.
Hey.
Smell that?
From where I'm coming from,
That's
real sons of
La 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 la.
Hey, how's the family doing?
My client appreciates the work you did with his
Da 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 da.
If your client lives here when you want.
Do you know Emma Jean Cabot?
Name rings a bell. Kind of balmy. Seen her in
Da
a while,
da
though.
da da
Can't Magnolia. She likes to make friends with people she might know more about this missing girl. Magnolia. Gal wants a word.
Yes?
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, miss?
Well, what's the matter, sweetheart? Don't tell me you didn't like the song.
I love the song. It was perfect.
She's one of the reasons why this is such a great place to lie low.
Oh, well, thank you. A girl tries her best. Now, there's something special about you, isn't there? Don't tell me. Let me guess. It's your eyes. Quick and intense. I bet you never miss a detail, You like what you see? So what brings a woman like you to my part of town?
I came here for the music.
Flatterer. I think you and I are gonna get along. So it's my turn to answer questions, right? What can I do for you?
Do you know Emma Jean Cabot?
Imogene? Sure. I know her. I haven't seen her in a while, though. Were you a friend of hers?
She's missing, and her family's worried about her.
Well, I'm glad somebody's looking out for her. She seems like a body that could use looking after.
Please, tell me what you know.
There was this preacher fella who used to come in here all the time. One of the slick ones. The
preacher
always
fella.
going on about remaking your life and so on. Most of the customers wouldn't give him the time of day, but Imogene, she latched on to him for some reason. I don't suppose it hurt that he was easy on the eyes. Intense. Some women find that irresistible. Pam, would you come over here a minute?
Is there a problem, Miss Magnolia?
No, this lady here was just looking for Imogene. Do you happen to know where that preacher fella came from?
Brother Thomas?
Yes, that's right. The one Imogene was always hanging on.
Had to throw him out. Wouldn't stop bothering customers with that salvation racket. Kept going on and on about joining him at the back bay. Then he'd shove those stupid flyers in your face. Here, I kept one of them, just in case he didn't pay his bar tab.
Well, thanks, honey.
Thanks.
You were a big help.
Anything for you, miss.
I hope Imogene's all right. I didn't much like the idea of her going off with that preacher fella. Hello again. Something I can do for you?
Another
I
song.
wouldn't mind hearing another song.
The audience is always right.
All right.
Running from something?
What?
Welcome home.
Oh, welcome home. Let's go find Imogene. Imogene, I know. The memory den. Okay. Let's go to the map. Where you at, Imogene? She is. What am I looking for here? Oh, yeah. There we go. Grandview Theater. Yes. This guy.
I hope you decide to become one of the pillars of the community.
Hey,
Welcome, neighbor. We're always glad to see a new face around here. Tell me something. You ever feel like this whole world is broken? Do you ever wonder why things can't be the way they were in the good old days?
Maybe.
I'm just looking for Imogene Cabot.
Oh, I'm sorry, but Imogene is indisposed right now. She's not seeing visitors.
Really?
What's she doing here? Is she a member of your movement?
Actually, she and I are, you know, romantically involved. Not that it's any of your business, but she and I are just having a little relationship trouble.
Really?
You know how it is. She's not seeing anybody until she
Creepy
cools
guy.
off.
You're not holding her prisoner, are you?
No, she's not a prisoner. She's just locked in her room until she calms down. She was acting crazy, threatening to run off. No offense, but you know how women can get sometimes.
I'm a friend of the family. Maybe I can talk some sense into her.
Blah, blah, blah. Like, why are you even talking to these morons?
I said she wasn't seeing anybody, including you.
I'm going to see her, one way or another. Your choice.
Maybe they'd rather spend the last few seconds of their lives with a gaping hole in their chest.
You picked the wrong guy to mess with, pal.
Have it your way.
Just leave us alone! This isn't I can't see!
Please. Nope. Get up, sweetie. Wasn't that bad. These guys. Anything that I wanted here? Bunch of crap. Ooh, bottle caps. I'll let it be. I'm not a thief. Switchblade, tire iron, switchblade. Let's go find Imogene. Guess in here.
You must be Emma Jean.
Don't tell me. Jack sent you.
You're Jack's sister? I was expecting someone a bit... younger.
You really know how to flatter a lady, don't you? Just to be clear, I'm Jack's younger sister, the baby of the family. Once I get home and get some of Jack's serum, I'll be back to my usual stunning self.
The serum reverses aging?
Jack has a serum that reverses aging?
It's more like it halts aging. I started taking it when I was 32, so normally that's what I look like. You'll see once I get my treatment. I was well known as one of the belles of Boston society, back when there was any.
What happens if you don't get more?
What happens if you don't get more serum?
Oh, I don't think we need to worry about that. I've gone without a treatment much longer before with no lasting effect.
There's only one vial left.
Actually, there's only one vial of the serum left. Raiders got the rest.
I'd better get home before Mother convinces Jack that she needs all of it. That he could still be such a mama's boy at his age is ridiculous. I'm so disappointed in Thomas. He seemed so interesting at first. But after we came here, he turned out to be just another brute. He actually thought he could force me to join his absurd cult.
Need anything?
Need anything before we go?
No. I didn't bring anything worth taking with me. Oh, I'm not going with you. You can tell Mother I'll be along home before too long. I just need a drink first.
Okay. Well, all your cultists are dead, so I hated doing it, but they attacked me first, so I guess this is a free place for somebody to crash now. I don't know. Okay, so return to Jack Cabot. The Cabot house. Okay. Okay. Hello there. Good to see you. Let's level up. I need to get my charisma up. Alright. Let's go check it out. Oh no.
The signal is strangely weak.
With the devil.
Edward, switch over to the Hartley modulator. Do you copy?
There's nothing but scrap in here.
now. How's this? Oh, that's done it. Edward, what's going on there?
We're under attack. They're inside the building.
Oh no.
Inside? Can you keep them out of the basement?
I'm trying, Jack. I've never seen raiders that... For God's sake, Sammy, the doorway, right there. Sorry. Things are a little busy around here right now.
Listen, if they're inside the building, you have to go to the office and shut down the elevator. You can't risk them getting to Lorenzo.
Got it. Office. Elevator. You better round up whoever you can and get...
Hello?
Uh-oh.
Edward? Come in. Edward! There's no signal at all. I've lost him.
What's happening, Jack? If these people are inside Parsons, if they free him...
Don't worry, I'll handle it.
I always knew it would end this way. I never should have allowed you to lock up Lorenzo in that place.
That isn't helping, Mother. And as I recall, using the serum was your idea, not mine.
So what are you going to do?
I said I'll handle it. I'm thinking.
What's going on?
That was Edward. He's at Parsons, the old asylum. They're under attack by raiders. It It's strange. The guards have held off raiders before without any trouble. I don't know what's gone wrong this time.
How about I found Imogene?
I found Imogene. She's fine.
Oh, yes, good.
At least one small comfort on this terrible day.
You'll be wanting to be paid, of course. Edward usually handles these things. Caps is what you use for currency, isn't that right? Here. I hope that's the right amount. Now, we really need to focus on the current emergency.
How can you be so callous about your sister's safety?
I wonder if these could be the same raiders that stole that last shipment. If some of them had used the undiluted serum, it could explain their unusual success against Edward's men.
Serum.
What exactly does this serum do?
I suppose it's time you knew. The main benefit of the serum is to halt aging. My family and I are all over 400 years old. But it also confers other side effects, especially in the undiluted form that the raiders stole. It increases strength and resistance to all kinds of physical damage. So at least some of these raiders may be much more dangerous than the ones you're used to dealing with.
400 years old?
If you're 400 years old, then you were born before the Great War.
Yes, I think you were too. I'd say mid-21st century?
What makes you think that?
Patterns of speech, general demeanor, physical health. You reminded me of the old days the moment I laid eyes on you. I just didn't put my finger on it until now. Is there anything else before we get going?
What's the serum source?
Where do you get this serum from?
My father, Lorenzo Cabot, is confined in Parsons. He became dangerously unstable after handling an artifact he found on an archaeological dig in Arabia. He gained various seemingly paranormal powers, as well as becoming increasingly irrational and violent. In the end, I had no choice but to confine him, for his own safety, as well as ours.
Jack, are you sure it's wise telling her all this?
In the course of my attempts to cure him, I discovered that the artifact had introduced anomalies into his blood. So the source of his insanity is also the basis of the treatments that have prolonged all our lives. The irony isn't lost on me, but if he were to escape from Parsons, I would lose my father forever. I will not allow that to happen. Not to mention that the artifact has made him paranoid, homicidally violent, and endowed with extraordinary abilities.
What abilities?
Exactly what abilities does he have?
Enhanced strength, unusual resistance to most kinds of physical damage. Oh, and a kind of local telekinesis, which appears to be projected by the artifact itself. That's why I've built a dampening field into his cell. Which is why we really need to stop these intruders before they turn it off. Before we go, I need you to understand something. When we get to Parsons, you need to do exactly what I tell you. Nothing more, nothing less. Is that clear?
Why is that so important?
If these intruders have gotten past Edward's men, they may have freed Lorenzo. I'm the only one who understands exactly how to deal with him. Is that clear enough for you?
Got it.
Got it.
Good. Make sure you have whatever you'll need for a serious battle. I'll wait for you outside.
Jack, be careful. And try not to hurt him.
I love Father at least as much as you do. But you know as well as I do that if he gets free, there will only be one option.
Don't let it come to that, please.
I'll do my best, Mother. And if Imogene finally comes home, for God's sake, don't let her leave again until I get back. Now, I really do have to go.
I don't need anything right now, thank you.
Okay. So, what's down here? Creepy, creepy. Oh. We got a fat man. Ooh. Nice. Pre-war money.
Guessing that reminds you of the old days.
A little bit. What's in here? Oh. Got it.
Yes.
I don't want the fat man. We got over here. Purified water. Unrusted tin cans. I don't know where to get those. Kitchen in the basement. That's okay. Zeta gun. Folder. Personal restroom. Terminal.
Nice.
Nice. 2/11 of 1968. Welcome, Imogene Cabot. Another unwanted gift from my loving brother. Still, it might be interesting to play around with it. 2/19/1968. This whole computer thing turned out to be more interesting than I thought. I've been learning a lot from various BBSs. Jack's been griping about some mistake he made in setting up his terminal. So I poked around until I found the file. It would be simple to fix it for him, but not nearly as much fun as watching him try to solve it on his own. 4/1 of 1968. Was playing around with some new ideas and hit upon a good gag. I wonder how long it will take Jack to figure it out. 6/18/1984. Went to see Father again. I just showed up at Parsons and threatened to make a scene until Jack finally agreed to let me go down. I don't know why I keep going. Father puts on quite an act for me, but I know it's not really him. Not since he got back from his trip wearing that horrible crown. I keep hoping that somehow he'll come back, that I'll see even a glimmer of the real person again. Maybe Jack will eventually succeed. As annoying as he can be, I can't deny that he's very smart. 5/3/1994. I went off the serum for a whole month. I thought I could stick with it this time. But when you actually feel yourself getting older by the day, and know you can fix it, it's hard to give up youth and beauty voluntarily. I bet most people couldn't do it if they had the. Bet most people couldn't do it if they had the choice. 4/15/2075. Apparently, the Robco techs don't even know how their own systems work. I mean, it's just a simple bat file in the root directory of the database server, for crying out loud. Hardly the hack of the century or anything. 11/9/2076. Things are just going from bad to worse. The things Robert tells me, most people don't even know how bad it is. And here we sit, safe in our little Cabot family bubble of privilege. I've tried to talk to Jack about it, but he's in his own world as usual. I doubt he even knows what year it is. And Mother, don't even get me started. Her whole life is a state of denial. I know this is insane to even think, but maybe this is for the best. You'd think I could just get a gun or some poison if I really wanted to end it for myself. But I could never be that. I could never be that deliberate. How selfish must I be to think that I need the world to end as a way for me to get out of killing myself? 10/23/2077. It's happened. I think a bomb must have hit somewhere near. Power is out all over as far as we can see from here. The emergency power is still on in the house, but not for long. Edward and Jack went to try to get to Parsons. Priorities, you see. Jack left Anders in charge here. He seems competent enough, but there's something about the way he's been looking since it happened that I don't like. I better get back to Mother. 11/19/2077. I got the power back on again. Things are very bad, but I would never admit this to anyone. But this is the most fun I've had since I can remember. I'm not bored anymore. Maybe this is how most people feel all the time. I really can't remember how I felt before the serum. Oh, and Anders is dead. I killed him. No one can believe it. 2 days after Jack left, he decided that Cabot House belonged to him, and Mother and I would have to leave. I can't really blame him. I mean, it was the end of the world. I'm not sure most employment agreements cover that. But he made the mistake of underestimating me. He didn't know how fast I was or how strong. I would have just made him leave, but he decided to fight. Probably better that way. One less person out there who knows about what we have here. We haven't heard from Jack for a week. He and Edward made it to Parsons. At least Jack radioed when they arrived. Tried to be cheerful as usual. Put on a happy face for imaging. But who really knows if they're going to manage. At least Edward is with him. If anyone can get through this, it's Edward. 12/2/2077. Jack made it back finally. He says Edward is very sick from radiation. He left him at Parsons. I don't think he expects him to live. I'm not sure why neither of us is sick. I was out quite a lot. Now that I think about it, maybe another of the many benefits of Jack's magic serum. I'll have to thank Father the next time I see him. 8/11/2089. It turns out that eventually even the apocalypse can get boring. Jack and Edward are too good at keeping us safe. It looks like the Cabot family is immune from the end of the world, just like everything else. We just shrug it off and keep on going, just like we always have. Sometimes I'm very pleased about that. It makes me feel incredibly superior. Sometimes it makes me really, really sad. Most of the time, it's just boring as hell. Seven 4/21/20. I've stopped even telling anyone where I'm going. The world isn't as dangerous as Jack says. There are still people out there living their lives like they always have. I guess more of them are willing to kill you now, but that's probably just because they can. I always got the feeling that plenty of people would have liked to see us dead before. They just couldn't get away with it. 3/13/2251. I don't know how Jack keeps himself busy day after day. You think he would realize that it was hopeless by now. After all these years and years, maybe he's just going through the motions the way I am. Or maybe he stopped trying to cure Father. I mean, what happens after to us? I'm the only one that's ever tried to go without the serum. Maybe Jack and Mother think they could just give it up, but I think they're fooling themselves. Interesting.
Oh, what do you want?
Nothing.
Play your cards right, and we stand to make a whole lot of money.
Oh, yeah? Oh, boy. Schedule. Mansions. M-A-N-S-I-O-N-S. 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 M-A-N-S-I-O-N-S.
Got it.
Got it. Welcome, Jack Cabot. How many of these are there? Okay. 210 in 1968. I think I finally have this new terminal set up correctly. Let's see if this saves. Yes. I can already see that this is going to increase my productivity immensely. Never mind Mother's carping about newfangled contraptions. I see that I mistyped my name on the setup screen. I'll have to check the manual for how to fix that. Would get annoying to see that every time I log in. 2/12/1968. Still learning how to work this new computer. Searched the manual for an hour last night, but couldn't find out how to reset my name on the login screen. Oh well, hardly worth worrying about right now. I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually. At some point, I'll need to take the time to transcribe all my old paper notes into the system so that I can easily access them. Hold on. Good coffee. But for now, let me summarize my progress so far in understanding Father's condition, so I have a baseline to refer back to here. All attempts to directly remove the artifact have been unsuccessful so far. Father's blood pressure dropped precipitously, and detectable brain waves nearly flatlined each time. The results were the same, with total anesthesia, father unconscious, local anesthesia, father conscious, several types of antipsychotics to do, fill an exact list and dispose from my notes. Varying doses of LSD to do, fill in dosages from the notes. 2. This implies that disabling the artifact in some way will be necessary in order to remove it from Father. Question: is this psychotic effect permanent? I.e., will it survive removal of the artifact? Or is the artifact eventually actively and directly induced it? 3. I've been very cautious with directly physically interacting with the artifact since the very early days. My initial attempts to probe or tinker with it were met with similar physical symptoms in Father to my attempts to remove it. I won't attempt it again until I have much greater understanding of the artifact's inner workings. 4. Active scanning of the artifact itself has proven useless. I currently consider this a dead end. X-rays so far has proven opaque. I don't know. To all my scans, obviously, I'm limited to the amount of radiation I can risk subjecting to Father to. Radio imaging, again, the artifact is, I don't know, at all wavelengths. Good grief. 5. Passive scanning has been more promising. This is an area I plan to devote much more time. The artifact radiates across the electromagnetic spectrum and at varying strengths and wavelengths. I have some basic telemetry already built into Father's cell and have been collecting data for the past 2 years. So far, it isn't much more than suggestive of further avenues of research, but I'm quite confident that over time, and with more sophisticated sensors, I'll be able to gain genuinely useful insight into the way the artifact is controlling Father. To do, get military contacts from Senator DeSoto. They are likely to have more advanced tech that I can get commercially. Consider making deal for samples of serum if necessary. Six. The physical symptoms and changes that the artifacts has induced in Father are as follows: extreme paranoia and psychotic tendencies. This was obvious from the first, since no drug has proven effective in mitigating these symptoms. All evidence points to this being directly induced by the artifact. Agelessness, as yet unidentified modifications to his blood chemistry has prevented any further aging since he first encountered the artifact. In fact, he may be in better physical health than before. It seems likely that the artifact is actively monitoring and correcting any problems it finds with its host organism. How many of these things are there? Hold on one second, I gotta refill my coffee. Okay, I'm back. Telekinesis, the most surprising ability. I tentatively believe that this is not actual telekinesis, but it is something generated directly by mechanisms in the artifact itself, perhaps using manipulation of gravity waves beyond our current technology. Increased physical strength, perhaps a side effect of the artifact's monitoring and improving of its host. This caused some difficulty early on in Father's confinement, before I was fully aware of his abilities, but is now merely something to keep aware of. Father's blood chemistry shows various changes from human norms, as well as traces of currently unidentified substances. I've proven that at least some of the symptoms described above can be communicated to another person through use of blood transfusion. So far, through pure trial and error, I've been able to produce a serum with several of the beneficial qualities and few side effects. But my actual understanding of what the serum is doing is so far very limited. I'll continue to pursue that as time allows, but it seems unlikely to be of much use in actually freeing Father from the artifact. 8. X-rays of Father's brain show no physical intrusion of the artifact. His skull remains intact, and I can see no signs that it has even penetrated his flesh. At this point, I believe that the blood chemistry changes, etc., must be being induced by the artifacts indirectly. It is instructing father cells as how to manufacture these substances. Man, this is long. Oh, my most successful intervention to date has been the development of the Abrimaline field. Detailed specs and files at Parsons. Earliest crude implementation, 1898, was simply a full spectrum dampening field turned to the same frequencies given off by the artifact. It did interfere with the artifact's operation, but at great cost to Father's health. At the time, I had no choice. It would have been impossible to confine in any other way, but refinement of the field has been a priority over the last decades. I managed to reduce the negative physical effects on Father while more directly blocking the artifact's telekinesis power. So far, my attempts to broaden the field's interference with other aspects of the artifact have been unsuccessful. They bring on similar physical symptoms to attempting to physically remove the artifact. But this remains the most promising avenue of my research. If I could discover how to interrupt this communication, I believe I will have the key to removing it, or at the very least, in mitigating some of the other dangerous symptoms, psychosis, etc. I'm almost afraid to do this. 7/23/1995. Mother and Imogene have left for another European tour while I take care of the latest generational shift. Getting more difficult to make this work in our modern age. Luckily, money still talks. I had to find someone reliable to leave in charge at Parsons while I'm gone. Perhaps Anderson can be trusted not to meddle. 1/5/1996. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. John Cabot, long-lost cousin of the Cabots, has returned to claim his inheritance after the freak accident that claimed the lives of Jack and his family. What? As usual, I have to be careful to respond when people address me as John. And this beard is going to take some getting used to. But such are the burdens of immortality. Anderson proved loyal and uninclined to poke his nose into anything. So that's another hurdle passed. I need to try to get as much done as I can while Mother is away. I find I am much more productive than usual during these transitions. 9/5/2023. I've been experimenting with some of the new transistors, and it looks possible to make a portable version of the Abrimaline field generator. This will be very useful if we ever had to move Lorenzo to a different facility for any reason. A lot more work is necessary, of course. And testing it on Lorenzo is out of the question. I won't risk shutting down the main field, but replicating the current field frequency pattern should at least give us something that we can try in an emergency, even if I can't be 100% certain it will work. 11/22/2050. I've just hired a new fellow to help with family's affairs. Edward Deegan comes highly recommended. It's too easy for me to ignore the passage of time now, but I've just realized how old Daniel is getting. How old Daniel is getting. It will be time for him to retire in a few years, and it's past time to start grooming his replacement. This is always such a difficult process that I tend to put it off, especially as Mother can be so difficult with anyone new. If Edward proves reliable, I can start easing him into the family secrets. Tricky, but necessary. So far, so good. Mother is taken to him, which is an essential first step. 4/15/2075. I've had Robco out again. It seems like a small thing, but this login screen glitch has been driving me crazy. I assume that it will be fixed with the upgraded terminals. You can be sure I was careful to type my name and correctly this time, but no, when it booted up the next time, there it was again. I think that's imaging. This time they completely wiped the entire system and reinstalled from their master holotapes. Unbelievably, the typo was still there. They've promised to have some of their sharpest engineers look into the problem, but I'm not sure they were being completely serious. If I don't hear from them within a couple of weeks, I'll make a few calls. 10/28/2076. Apparently, the political situation has become very dangerous. I don't pay much attention to current events, but Imogene's latest beau is a high muckety muck in some government agency, and has been telling her alarming stories about how close things have gotten to a full-scale nuclear war. I wonder if we are following in the footsteps of the agents who created the artifact. If so, who might our successor be? Thousands of years from now, will the cockroach civilization eventually rise to wonder at the artifacts we left behind? 12/1/2077. It really happened. I don't think I've quite come to terms with what it means for the long run. It's been one crisis after another. We certainly aren't out of the woods yet, but the simple fact that I can write this again means we are better off than most people. I don't have time to write down everything that's happened. Fortunately, Boston was spared a direct hit. My first concern was Parsons, of course. We had to maintain power at all costs. We've always had backup generators, but more than usual. even for a medical facility. But these were intended for short-term outages, not as a permanent power supply. Then there was the question of security. Edward proved himself amazingly resourceful. He already had plans in place for just such an emergency. Thank God he paid more attention to the news than I did. Still, there's no real planning for the end of civilization. He and I have been at Parsons for almost a month, trying to keep things from completely falling apart. Edward has been out more than he should. I'm afraid he's taken a heavy dose of radiation. But there was really no choice. I'll do what I can for him. I don't know how I could replace him now. Imogene has stepped up amazingly. I had no idea she had it in her. The man we left in charge here proved unreliable. Apparently cracked under the pressure and tried to evict Imogene and Mother at gunpoint. He didn't reckon on Imogene, and neither did I. She took charge and somehow kept things secure here in spite of everything. I'll have to see what Edward can do about a more permanent solution for power and security for Cabot House. But for the moment, things look much better than they might. I expect even our resources will be tested to the limit over the coming years. But in some ways, I'm glad of the challenge. One thing's for sure, the end of the world isn't boring. Oh, 6/20/2080. I think I can finally say that things are looking up. Edward has recruited a more or less reliable security force to protect Parsons. The power situation is stabilized. Edward assures me we now have spare parts stockpiled to last at least 50 years. Moving between here and Parsons is still the biggest problem. There's no sign of any return of law and order. Just the opposite, in fact. But Edward has proven skilled at dealing with the various groups of thugs that have sprung up. Speaking of Edward, his radiation sickness has developed into a most fortunate way. For a time, I thought he was surely going to die, but then his condition stabilized. He now seems actually immune to further radiation. Apparently, this is not unknown in the other survivors, although Edward tells me that a strong prejudice has developed against these people. Hard to understand, as they seem uniquely qualified to survive in this new world. One benefit of the end of civilization that I hadn't anticipated, there's no need now for us to have to die periodically. To die periodically? Oh. I could go back to being Jack Cabot again for the foreseeable future. No more neighbors to poke their noses into our business. 5/7. What? 21:15. I've lately immersed myself in Lorenzo's work like never before. I wish now I had made more effort when it was still possible to try to locate the site of so-called Umar. After my initial failed attempt to find the site, I dismissed it as both hopeless and useless. Better to focus my energy on the immediate problems. But now, after going over Lorenzo's papers more thoroughly, I believe there are enough clues to the general location that a large-scale search using aircraft might have been feasible. Something that wasn't possible in the first attempt, of course. Maybe I could have found some other artifacts that I could have studied more directly, even if they were for completely different purposes. It would be invaluable in understanding how the ancient technology functioned. I've also come to realize how brilliant Lorenzo actually was. I was far too quick to dismiss his theories. The arrogance of youth. I'm now convinced that his essential premise is correct. The artifact he found was not made by humans. All the evidence was there, but Lorenzo was the only one who put it all together and actually understood what it meant. A staggering thing to think of. If only he had been capable of dealing with fools a bit more diplomatically, he might have gained more general acceptance of his theories and not been driven to such secrecy in his final expeditions. Wow. That was a lot. That was a lot.
Ready? Let's go. Just to be clear, under no circumstances can we allow Lorenzo to be freed from Parsons. I would have lost my father forever.
Okay, guys. This is where I'm gonna have to end this today. I really hope you enjoyed watching. I know there's a lot of talking and I probably didn't do too well on it. But, I don't know. I'm trying to get better at it. I really hope you like this. I don't know. If you could, please like, comment, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Next episode, we'll just follow him for a little while and see where that takes us. And thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to y'all later.